All right, guys, we are back for our third ever State of the SWUnion address with the one and only Jim Cartwright. This is our third one. Thanks for making time for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking time as well. Y'all have been incredible on this journey. It's been wild to watch how, you've all grown as the game's grown. It's awesome.
It's
You
crazy.
you guys too. And I mean, we walked into the hall at the Galactic Championships and we're just like blown away by all the insane things that are in there. Life-size TIE fighter,
Yeah.
R2D2 rolling around.
Yep.
Like, you guys went all out.
Star Wars Build-A-Bear. I mean,
Yes.
like,
I already bought a Rancor.
Nice. Did you?
I did,
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
for my
Yeah.
son.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, no, this was for us, it's a moment for us to kind of plant a flag, right? Like, we want to show people that we are all in, that there's support for this game, that we are here to stay long term, right? That's been the message
Yeah.
from day one, is that this is about being here. This is our forever game, as I always say, right? And so this is just one more step along the journey. This is something that, we plan to do something of this size with this kind of experience where it's not just a tournament, it's also a fan experience and that was in our R&D phase, 2021, January, that window of time. We talked about this is what we wanted. I will tell you, it has been wild to see it actually occur now, right?
Yes.
See it. There's a difference between that, potential and then the reality of it. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, this has been a crazy year. Talking about last year, like, you're in a completely different role than you were the last time
It's true.
that we were here, and
Yeah.
very different role from 2021 that you're talking about when the game was first, conceptualized. So, how have things been for you over the last year?
Yeah, great. I mean, obviously the game itself launching, growing, things like that have been phenomenal. I think we're seeing a lot of the team kind of move into other various roles, but in a still, supporting and maintaining everything, right? Xander's a great example, right? From community manager to marketing manager, not kind of driving a lot of the marketing experience. For me, it's been, a whirlwind. Obviously, Unlimited isn't my only purview as now head of studio. So like there's a lot of things on my plate, but let's also be honest. Unlimited's never far from my mind. Right.
So in case you didn't see the tattoos.
Oh, yeah. It's still
have
here.
them. They're
Still, I did not remove them,
Yeah,
right? They're not
Maybe not
temporary.
temporary
Nope.
tattoos at Gen Con. Right?
Nope, they were not.
Yeah. That's phenomenal.
So yeah,
So the game's been out 16 months,
it's only 16 months old.
which is crazy. And this is our third one, which is also kind of funny. But has anything surprised you?
I think the legitimately the fan reaction of coming on board this journey with us, right? Like we knew early on that it was a message we were going to have to, as Fantasy Flight, let's be honest, there were some things we wanted to make sure that we got ahead of in the way that we brought the experience. But I think it's some of the most exciting things is when we're because let's be honest, we're all on social watching content creators.
Yeah.
listening
Not
to
us,
the-
though.
Yeah, no,
No, definitely
no,
not us.
because I never watch Unplayable.
No,
That's
yeah.
In fact, wait, how did I get this interview? Who are you people again? No. And so that idea of watching the fans start to come on that journey with us, and right, and before we are making a statement or an announcement, we're seeing people in the community already being like, no, look at this. This is what they've done. And so, it's always a challenge. We'll always have that battle, but
Mhm.
it's been awesome watching the fans really take to the game, the experience, the community, reacting positively, the changes we're making. It's been awesome.
That's great. So you sort of talked about how at the beginning it was sort of, hey, like, trust us with this. FFG has done Star Wars games in the past in a different way. We're going to do it in a new way now. And that felt like what the, I guess, like, year before the game came out, or like from when it was announced until it actually came out, was that is what that was about. And then I felt like year one was a bit more of like, hey, we're establishing this as a, real competitive game, real lifestyle game. How do you think about like the strategy moving into like from year two to year one to year two? Because
Sure.
I mean,
Or year zero
or
to
year zero to year
year
one,
one.
however
Yeah.
you want to think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it has been lesson learning, right? That's part of it. We also have our plan, we talk about, we're always kind of trying to work 3 to 5 years ahead from, either development or at least product strategy and things like that. One of the things that, we're really cognizant of is we kind of build in these stages along the way to think about different audience types, right? We recognize that not every product is for everybody. That's not the purpose. We don't want every person to buy every product we make. I know that sounds silly, but it's this idea of we want to create products for specific audiences to kind of, show that the game can be different things for different people. And that's okay. And so I think in year, what we're considering year one, I know the year zero, year one, but like, our first year, kind of, and our second year started really with the launch of Jump to Lightspeed. And from there, obviously, that was our big moment to do kind of a product change. So that's where we added in the Carbonite edition, right?
Switch from starter decks to spotlight decks as well.
And switch from starter decks to spotlight decks, exactly. And we really look at that window in time, that first set of each calendar year, to be our moment for change. So one thing that I think fans can expect going forward, and if they don't know, this hopefully is a thing they hear, and this can be communicated out, is that our intention is that anytime we do any of those product shifts, it's intentionally set in that first set of the year, right at the rotation moment, as a look into kind of how we're adapting. And if we see things and learn things along the way, we will take those learnings and adapt them into a future, roughly that period of time.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the audience watching, we're recording this on Friday, but we're going to release it obviously after the Galactic Championships, and Jim will have announced a bunch of really cool stuff. Afterwards, we don't want this interview to just be immediately out of date. So we may ask Jim some questions about things that we don't yet know that he will be revealing, and something he might not be
So
revealing.
like in a way,
Oh,
you're getting
yeah,
like
so-
you're getting a sneak peek.
Sneak peek.
Our live reactions.
Yes,
Yeah.
which I love.
So are there any of those types of products that you're announcing on Sunday that are related to set 7 and stuff like that?
No,
Okay.
we are not prepared yet to talk about our year 3 plans. Really exciting stuff to come there. I think I can talk a little bit about the fact that so we're here obviously the week before Gen Con, and we don't have an in-flight report at Gen Con next week. Because a lot of our, especially particularly for Unlimited, all of our news is we want to talk about here.
Yeah.
But I am excited to talk about as a preview, and we'll see how my marketing team might yell at me for talking about this here. But we will be doing our in-flight report instead at PAX Unplugged. And so that gives us an opportunity each year to do kind of a year in review, while also teeing up what the next year is going to look like, not just for Unlimited, for all of our products, but that's where we're going to start to talk about the next year and what's planned. So it's a great question. So no new products from a set line perspective, right? Because so set 6, you can still expect Carbonite, you can still expect Spotlight decks. Everything kind of stays the same as we move into that, while we get into the exciting final theme of the year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you talk about Carbonite packs and how that idea came to be, and what those packs are, and everything that went into making those?
Absolutely. Something that we haven't really talked about before is that Carbonite was something that we had slated originally for launch. It was a thing where we were going to try to launch with it again to kind of separate and show, hey, look, we understand there's Star Wars fans who are collectors. It's shocking. I happen to be one of these people. Also shocking, I know. And we wanted to make sure that there was products already in the pipeline to showcase this idea of there's players, again, connect, collect, compete, right? We have driven that message home since the beginning, and making sure that there was a product for that. But as we started to evaluate what that looked like, we realized that we wanted to kind of, year one was, as we built kind of what is year one about. And I think we talked about it often in our presentations and some of our interviews of like, it's our foundational year. And we wanted to say at the very beginning, let's keep it simple. Let's make sure it's an experience that we can repeat, that we can understand to take some data from. And so Carbonite was pushed until what we again saw as our next opportunity, which was the start of our year 2 product lines. And so as we dove into that product, what was really important was thinking about, what are the collectors looking for from a variety of things? Because it's a challenge. It's that fine line, right, between like a card game player who collects, a collector who collects because they just love to collect Star Wars stuff or cards in general, and the investor collector. Those are 3 separate things, right? And what we recognized even in the basic, like in the standard packs, there was obviously, I think, a big segment that wasn't being satisfied with just kind of the showcase chase. And so we started building what this could look like to try to satisfy those multiple layers of collectors. We obviously have been hearing feedback and listening to what we're hearing to try to dial in some of these things. This is the beauty of us thinking about this from a long-term perspective, is we're always going to be thinking about how to evolve and improve. But that was kind of the idea of where it came from. And when we first, again, I love being able to talk a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. When we first started with Carbonite, that's a big graphic design team lift, right? Like you're not designing new cards at that point. Art team needs to commission a bunch of different art if we're going to be changing the art, which obviously we did. And then the graphic design team is going to have to get crazy, right? And we always talk to them. They were waiting in the wings at any point when we were doing this because we're like, there's going to be opportunities to get real wild. So like, be ready.
Mhm.
And so when we started going down that road, even between, I mean, you obviously have seen the evolution from our Jump to Light Speed and our Legends of Force. The evolution from Legends of the Force to Secrets of Power. I don't even like when I showed these off to our executives and some of our like leadership back at Spiel last year, some of our very early test prints, and like absolute mind blown. It is, I think, from some of the things that I've heard from collectors and fans of Carbonite who are going in, the things that when you see what we are doing for Carbonite Secrets of Power Prestige, it's a different level.
I'm very
Wow.
excited about that.
Yeah. Wow. Mike's temperature just raised a few degrees.
Yeah, it did.
What?
Are you able to say anything about what those are? Are those going to be announced yet or not?
Those are not going to be announced. We're not going to show anything for that quite
I
yet.
had to probe. Just
Absolutely. No, it's your job. I would
Yeah.
expect nothing less.
You also mentioned, that you've received some feedback or you've seen feedback about the Carbonite packs. Can you say like anything that you're planning on doing to address some of the feedback?
So some of that stuff. So feedback wise, right? One of the important things that I know some people know, but not everyone's aware of, right, is our ability to pivot. Is we are tied to manufacturing schedules still
Yeah,
happen. Our ability to react quickly is not possible. To be realistic and honest. And so because as we are finalizing those things in their first future sets, and they're definitely not for Secrets of Power. Again, outside of
What you
that
just mentioned.
that level of detail that they're doing, I will have to get. I don't know what I'm going to have to do for set 6. Mike, we're in trouble. We're in danger, is what I'm saying.
I'll start saving now.
Yeah, please start saving now. But I think some of the things that we've heard about value in the pack and the way that the distribution of what we've noticed. You tell me if you think this is an accurate feedback point that we've taken. Right. What we've watched a lot of is people love hyperspace as a variant. Love it. It's
Favorite.
yes.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I almost will exclusively play all hyperspace decks.
Heck yes.
Just
Yep.
straight up.
Yeah. Amazing. And by extension, I think that means that a lot of the hyper foil is like, I know that obviously foil has its mileage may vary, but I think that hyper foil is also very, well received. But we know that the standard foil, maybe not so much.
Mhm.
And so where we put our value in that and what that means for the future is something we are absolutely evaluating.
Interesting.
I will say the OP pack foils, the difference in those, like those I feel like are received a little differently
Sure.
because
Yeah.
it seems like a different treatment than
Yes,
the
the
regular ones.
different foil, different frames, all of that.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, actually, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We're turning
Oh,
it back
hey,
around.
all right.
I like this.
Ooh.
What did you all think of the change to the way that we did the weekly play, starting with set 4, as a comparative point to like the sets 1, 2, and 3, and how we shifted what cards were there and how they were distributed?
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a
I
lot.
mean, I had a foiled Han in my very first pack. So
Wait, I did too.
did you really?
Did you guys plan that? Did you do like, hey, make sure Mike and
I did, our mysterious ways cannot be revealed.
That's
that's
great.
hilarious. I have no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
No, I do think they're more fun to open than
Yep.
the previous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, you're looking
So-
for the chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then moving because we moved one of the other, obviously the big changes was we moved the starter cards.
Into the normal packs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, which I really do like that
Mhm.
because for draft you can actually draft those cards, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yes.
Which
So-
can be a surprise too, because
Yeah,
you're not expecting.
Exactly.
Yep.
I do really like that.
Yeah.
And it means that you get hyper foil of those cards where you previously didn't, right? I still can't get a hyper foil Leia, unfortunately. I'm gonna have to have you print one out for me so I can finish the binder.
So it's super funny. There was a point, again, in those early days, sets 1, 2, and 3, right? A small team. Like I always have to try to remember, like it was, I by the time we got to actual set development, I stepped away, right? I was moving into my product strategy director role. So it was Danny it was three people who were running that experience for and when we work on multiple sets, right? It was deep in sets, obviously 1 and 2 and 3, but we were still in initial phasing and design and development for 4 and 5 and 6. And so you can imagine trying to navigate and coordinate, roughly 250 plus cards per set that you're trying to balance and doing all the things with. There were certainly things that kind of, slipped through some of the cracks in terms of, so it's funny that, so one of the things that I did when set one released, because I had kind of, so many things were evaluating at that in those windows. And I was like, where's my hyperfoil version of Leia? Why do my binder has a gap?
Uh-huh.
No, 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 no. How do we fix this?
Yeah.
And so that became a conversation. And then that was really where we were like, how do we find a way to do this in a way that makes sense, is rewarding, is exciting? And so that's where the idea of bringing back, bringing those into the standard booster packs came from. So,
All right, you just said something about staffing early days, which triggered a question. But I remember when the game was being released, like I felt like I knew all the designers, I knew who was working on it, and then in the past year, it feels like the team has like quadrupled, and now I'm like, wait, who's that again? And I'm like trying to keep it all straight, like the sheer amount of designers. I've never seen an FFG game with so many designers. Was that always part of the plan? Was that something in response to the reception of the game? How did that all come to be?
so a little bit of both, right? We always do that. Once the game actually hit, we are launched now. And before that we were going to have to start bringing on more support. The TCG, just the pace of it, right? The balance, as more cards get into the ecosystem, the balance of that requires a lot more eyes, attention. And so yeah, not only did we, back when we did, so about a year. So like right as I'm trying to make sure I've got the right timing, right as the game launched, we were doing our first round, which is I think where you see, MJ and John and Joe and Ryan, right, came in as that additional support to be able to bolster. And then we were able to kind of divide out the sets and put leads, 2-person teams with leads to be able to divide some of the labor. And then as we've now continued to grow, not only have we expanded the design team itself, but we've seen also now a development team has been hired who's exclusively about balance, right? So we think about there's this thing we talk about quite often in the studio in general, which is design is fun and dev is fair, right? So, and trying to find the balance between those two things is really important, right? Because it's like, I want cool mechanics, I want things that do awesome stuff. And then it's like, yes, that's great, but I can't have that cost 1. It needs to cost 5 or something to that effect, right? And so that conversation in the ecosystem started happening. So we've not only, gosh, I think we have tripled the design team in general, because Danny and Tyler now have moved into, Danny's always been in that lead role, overseeing the game. Tyler, in his new role as creative lead, is really there to make sure the Star Wars of it all is what's happening, and that we're tied into the theme as much as we want to be, because obviously it's so important.
Yeah.
And then uh, uh, from there, we then bolstered the design team to, I believe right now we've got 3 teams of 2 main set focused and a designer who's floating to be able to manage some other products that we might see eventually. Um, and then we have a development team as well, a 3-person development team right now that's growing, and we're figuring that out. So, yes, it has been a wild growth in a very short period of time to support it.
Yeah.
And that's just the design team, right? We're not talking about the way we've increased, our support for graphic design and art direction, working on supply chain, because it's not just about the design side. We got to get everything made too.
Right.
And so we're really working to figure out all the places in which we need to
Sure.
support Unlimited.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about OP.
Yes, let's talk about OP. At the culmination event of season 0 here at the Galactic Championship.
Season 0, moving into season 1. I mean, I really gotta hand it to you guys. Walking in that space, and we heard the announcement. I think Corey said like 1,955 people playing it just in day 1, just trying to earn a spot into day 2.
Yep.
Over 2,000 people participating in like that's
Amazing.
that's really exciting. Like it does feel like a great culmination. any reflections about OP from year 0, and then we'll jump into
Sure. Yeah.
year 1.
Before I jump too deep, or before I go in that direction, though, I want to add one thing to the kind of the numbers conversation that that you had, because there's a particular number that I'm incredibly excited about, really, really happy, and it's a message that I think everyone's excited about, which is over 1,000 people are at this event who did not register for the main event in any way.
Oh, yeah.
So they're here to play side events, to engage with all the other stuff that we have going on, right? Between being able to play some of our other Star Wars games throughout Asmodee, right? We've got demos of Shatterpoint here, Legions here. We also have obviously other Asmodee games on the floor to be demoed. The obviously cool life-size TIE Fighter, which, by the way, although everyone in the future will know this, but we also have some more coming, right? So there was some hiccups, that you get through with some stuff, but like that's not the only life-size piece coming.
I mean, I visibly gasped. I walked in the room and I like something just came out of me that was involuntary when I saw that TIE Fighter.
My one question that is just like just for me is how did you get that in there?
A lot of work and a lot of coordination. There's a great team out of Europe that does these life-size props, and they do a lot of events. I've actually seen some of their stuff at Star Wars Celebration and things like that. And so we partnered with them through Lucasfilm, and we're able to bring them on site.
I mean, physically, how do you physically bring that into the building?
It is wild how quickly they can actually get those disassembled and assembled.
It's
like
so great.
It's actually all Legos.
Yeah, that's a secret.
Yeah.
Like for example, when we were watching them put together the TIE Fighter, so you've got obviously your hex panels, but then each of the parts of the hex panel are their own individual pieces. And so those things get broken down quickly. The pod itself, obviously.
You guys should post a timeline so that
amazing.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Good to know for next year.
Yeah.
or later this evening. Yeah, that's cool. So season
some people, showing up for the event. I mean, and it is, you walk through.
I was one of those people.
Yeah.
Because before I even knew that we were going to do panels and stuff like that, had signed up just as a person that wanted to come and do side events and hang out.
Yeah.
So.
Like I want to draft a ton. I want to play a ton of Twin Suns.
Yes.
Like I know I would eventually scrub out of the main events. I'm like, I want to do the things like the fact that there are multiple formats that I can do is a gift that I love. So that was really cool.
That was important to us. It was for us right now. Obviously, it's top heavy in terms of the number of participants for the actual main event comparison, right? Like 2/3 of the attendees are here for the main event to start. But our vision for this long term is this is a fan event. This is for everyone who wants to come and enjoy Star Wars Unlimited with fans of Star Wars Unlimited from around the world. And so that's what the intent is here. So to start our first year and be able to say, hey, over 1,000 people just decided, they're gonna dive in that way. Huge for us.
Yeah, I feel that.
That's
I feel
awesome.
that. Yeah.
How are things going to shift for the next one, knowing that it's not an open event?
So we talked a lot about when we were crafting season 1 on obviously lots of lessons we've learned along the way from prizing, from the experiences at the PQs in general, how all of the other things kind of feed into each other, right? We had our first sectors and regionals right beforehand. And so what we did when we went into season 1 is we wanted to start with this concept of we don't want to take anything away from the community. That was important. But we also wanted to make sure that we thought about the promise of, it's not an open event in the general sense. It's we want to make sure that the people who are there in the Galactic for the main series are there because they've earned their way in through some form or another. And so one of the things that we will in the future from here, but obviously in the past for the recording, is the idea that so we started as a baseline of like, look, right now, if you win a PQ, you are going to the Galactic Championship day 1, right? I mean, right now in 0, it's day 2, but we started to think about the realities of what is the day 1 versus day 2 even here, and how we're framing it in terms of our thinking, in terms of what the community expectation is. And so it was like, great, we know that 100 points is what's going to get you to your day 1 Galactic invite. You're invited to the Galactic Championship with 100 points. So let's start with, you win a PQ, you're getting 100 points. From there, everything else that we thought through was, so then how do we give other opportunities for points that aren't necessarily 100? How do we also think about, because we don't want the experience to end with, oh, you've got 100 points, you can stop now. So what are the ways in which you can reward our top players And I don't have all the details of that we're going to share quite yet, but it's the idea of we want there to be competition at even the higher levels of points to be like, no, I need to
Trying
be
to get to the top of the leaderboard.
correct. I need to be at the top of the leaderboard. I need to be an X placement to get Y prize. Whether that's a flight to the galactic or other cool things. And so
Riding that TIE fighter down the right. Like that's part of the
let's mark that down. Let's mark that down. I love the idea there. No promises. But so we rooted ourselves there of starting with don't take anything away from the community. Let's be generous. Let's be I want to see 2,000 people playing here at the Galactic next year in some way or another. And so then what we started looking at was, okay, we have a 3-day event for next year. And by the way, again, everyone will know this here that this is after closing. This will be closing ceremony. So we have 2 things happening on. So you're getting the closing ceremonies thing because again, I understand you're going to see this, but we will be returning to the Venetian next year to kind of run through this again. We got some learnings we can use.
Always easier around too.
Absolutely. And so we're going to be bringing it back here, and it's still going to be a 3-day event total. But the way we're pivoting is that the Galactic Championship starts on Saturday, and it's a 2-day event. What we will do is an actual last chance qualifier. So if you didn't make your 100 points, we are going to bring everybody who wants to join to the LCQ.
Cool.
And it's not going to be an add to your points now or earn 100. It's going to be, we're going to take top X. And that's who's moving on to day 1 of the actual championship event.
Nice. That sounds fun.
So it'll be brutally, like, let's be clear. We understand that LCQ is.
This is Vegas. People are used to gambling.
100%.
You know, you come and it's,
Sorry, just before I lose my train of thought, are you planning on doing it at the Venetian every year or just doing it again next year?
We're only confirming next year. We have a lot of concepts and ideas that have been floating around for many years at this point, but we're excited to announce that next year we'll be at the Venetian, and we'll talk then of where maybe we might be the following year.
Right on.
No, good question though. Very good question. We one of the things that I will say is very important to us, and we have been considering, is making sure we have some level of support for our European fans and what kind of events we can do and kind of upscale what we're doing in Europe as well. We want to make sure everyone this is a global game, right? And 5 languages to launch. So let's make sure that we're supporting everybody as best we can. The realities of many things put us back at the Venetian in year 2. But for season 1's, finale. But it's not. I want everyone to know that we're not thinking about our European people.
They've got some big events out there.
They do. I mean, the biggest event before the Galactic was actually in Europe at Lille, right? In Lille, France. So it's they've got a community for sure, and we want to make sure we can support them as well. The other big change for season 1 is we are putting a bigger emphasis on limited play.
Damn, this is music to my ear. I could cry. It's my favorite format.
Mine too, right? That's, I mean, again, and we put so much energy and effort into making sure that our product, like at the PAX, support that kind of experience, right? And so we are excited to talk about the fact that, so each set, right, along the year, we have obviously sector regionals. So there will be 3 sectors this is actually, I think, more detail than I'm going to even go into on Sunday, but we'll have it in an article that'll come out on Monday. So it'll be pretty quick.
There you go. People already know.
But the idea is that each set release, obviously your PQs, then you'll have your 3 sectors, and then those are all planetary qualifier, sector qualifier, and then regional championship. And the reason it's a regional championship is we have 2 events happening simultaneously at the regional, a 3-day limited event and a 2-day constructed premier event. So both of them will earn you your points. So the winner of either of those will have, or certainly, I mean, it goes deeper than the winner, but both will earn their ability to go into the Galactic through either path.
So you have to choose your path.
Correct.
Yes. Oh,
that's
my
cool.
gosh. I love it.
Now,
I love it.
To be a little fair, because we wanted to make sure, we thought through even this little detail, because as Adrian Alonso says, details matter. The reality is that we're starting the limited on Friday, And then if someone decides after their performance on Friday, look, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm not going to go very far here. As long as there's still spots available, they can then join up for Saturday's Premier Constructed
That's great.
Yeah.
and try, get their second chance.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Very cool. Are you sharing any details about when you say limited, draft, sealed, or mixture, or?
We're looking at both as a mixture. More details of that will certainly come out.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the OP teams thing.
Sure.
In addition, so we do the 3 sectors. The 3 sectors, one of those sectors will also be limited format only. So it's the only actual.
Let's book the flight,
yeah,
Mike.
I know.
Book the flight.
I'm ready.
And so you'll have one of those for each set. And then at the Galactic, and again, we're not going to get into super details yet, but if you want to be the Galactic champion, you will have to also play limited format. It will be part of the experience.
You are checking off everything that I have ever hoped for.
I know you don't listen to our podcast. But we
Yeah.
had a long conversation about that.
Yeah.
That was basically the structure that we thought would be really cool. So that's awesome.
Right, it makes
That's
sense.
gonna happen. Yeah.
You know, the world champion
They should be
understands
good
this
at-
game at
Yeah.
all levels
Look at all
to
parts
some
of the
extent.
game.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. So yeah. So if people want to start grinding out some limited to get some experience with figuring that out at the competitive level, let's do that.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. That's kind of, I think, there'll be some, I mean, I don't have charts with me here. There will be charts that they will be able to research, like how many points you get for each event, where the point thresholds are, the different events that we're having. So
Yeah. People have been clamoring for point systems. I've never seen people so interested in point systems in the last couple months. Yeah.
yeah, no, we're absolutely moving to points. And because it's a way to encourage people not just to get enough points to attend the Galactic, but to also compete with each other for, other things that could be really beneficial.
Yeah. It's a nice way for you to be able to incentivize the things that you want players to do.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's year 1 of OP. And so
Yes.
that kind of,
Are there any other?
was there anything else before we
anything else
ask
about year
anything
1
else?
OP that we haven't covered?
So I think this is all we're talking about this point. Certainly one of the things that's going to come up that we're going to have future discussions about, right? And it doesn't really trigger until we get around to our set 7 timeline of, like, obviously the questions out there of, like, what are you doing for Eternal format? What's happening with Eternal format, right? And we're not ready to talk about it quite yet. We got a little bit of time still. Maybe that's something we can hear about when we get to PAX Unplugged. So if fans are asking where the information on that is, it's coming.
It's coming.
Good to know.
Yeah. Love that. Very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess shifting gears a little bit. We talked a long time ago about the potential to bring some other cool stuff into Star Wars, like Knights of the Old Republic. And you guys actually did it.
It happened.
Can you tell the story about how that happened?
Yes, it's actually really so I will tell you right now, Revan was the first question we asked when we got involved with the conversation of what does unlimited mean and what can we actually do? What are we allowed to do? How can we explore what that looks like? In fact, a little known fact from the early days of R&D is that Revan was in set 1. Initially, again, keeping in mind that, like, when I say Revan was in set 1, I don't mean the design of Revan as Revan is now. What I mean is that when we were thinking about set 1 in R&D, before we actually sat down and did set design, it was very much like, what do we want in set 1? And we're like, put everything in. Like, we want to showcase that this game truly is unlimited and that we have the ability to kind of go where we go in all the cool places everyone wants us to go. Once we actually sat down to do set design, it became very clear that without any direction of synergy, tribal engagement, mechanical, too many mechanics, it was like, that's probably a terrible idea. So let's instead think about where we can, how we can pace it out in a way that feels, when we get to that point, it is both a, like, beat for everyone to understand where we were going from the beginning, and also, like, give it an opportunity to have its own space to breathe in a way. So
Nice. What other characters were in that first set that didn't make it in?
I mean, some of the so let's see. We have in Legends of the Force, Revan,
Yep.
HK-47, as well as Malak. Those were all in, I believe, the set one initial concepting, because we wanted to make sure that there was a little bit of support for that, because we're like, what are the iconic, what's the, so after Revan, what's the next, what's the next one you think of, right? And so, yeah, we thought through some of those things. Uh, but yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, as you said, we've talked about it before. A huge fan of Knights of the Republic. And so, yeah, very,
Were there characters from other potential Star Wars that you can talk about?
no, I can't talk about. I can't talk about. But yes, no, the team has a process, right? One of the things that it's really important to us, right, is that there's so much Star Wars content. We want to make sure that we give opportunities for, we have these things that are deep cuts with Legends, right? And we know that obviously there's an audience of fans who want that content. We also have to be really cognizant of the fact that, like, a lot of fans, especially if we're engaging, this game's supposed to be accessible, right? We want this to be, we talked about it a lot of, like, I want families to play this. I want, the person who grew up playing maybe some of the original Star Wars games now has a family and wants to engage with their kids on a Star Wars game. Let's bring them in. And obviously there's so much content that's coming out now that we can tie to and bring in those experiences that they can recognize immediately as something that they understand. So these are always intended to be, we don't want to flood the experience with more, where it's all focused on that.
Yeah.
And so when you see them, and again, not every set is going to always engage with it. I can say that comfortably now to kind of set the stage. But when we use it, it will be intentional. It will be with some cool ideas. And I think the fans, when we all get them, we will be very excited to see what we come out with.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. The way that it was introduced in Legends of the Force, tying it in with the name of the set or vice versa, like, it made a lot of sense. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I feel like the sets have hit a lot of not just Legends characters that people love, but you talk about there's so much Star Wars content out there. I've been very public about my love for Mr. Bones.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who have no idea who Mr. Bones is, but I love the books. I love so the fact that I can go, I will be grinding pods to win a Mr. Bones mat and Mr. Bones sleeves. And I'm like, if I'm the only one, I'm still happy. So I love that it does capture so much of the Star Wars lore. That's what makes this game so special.
Yes. And to be honest, it's a great point of, like, we're balancing that too, right? Like, we want to make sure that the deep cuts are there for the fans who really enjoy some of that. And so that also works its way into how can we explore that in each set a little bit, or, most sets. So you'll always see some of those things. If you've got content from the books or content from the comics, things that are, less well known, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
You probably can't answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You brought up the Mr. Bones thing. At the Galactic Championships now, the top prizes are Vader and Luke showcases, which are amazing, and very happy that we actually get to have a chance to get those, and I can check those off the list.
Put them in the binder.
Yep. Can you tease what the next year's Galactic Championship sort of top prize could be, given that there isn't really, like a missing showcase that's like an easy sort of like, here's what we can do that's like a big prize?
Yeah. I mean, so to speak first about the Luke Vader, right? It was a day one decision as we were working through stuff, because in some ways, right, we didn't have a way to get, or shouldn't say that. We didn't plan in set one on how to get the showcase from the starters in. Like, it was, again, when we talked about earlier of, like, there were a lot of moving parts. That was one where we went, uh-oh. And so then that reality of, well, where could we do it? Naturally, the first place we all went to was, these are for the Galactic. This is special. These are two of the most iconic characters. These are ones that are going to be sought after. Let's put them in a place of prestige, give them a spotlight of their own. But the beauty of that is that, yes, it became a little bit predictable. I'm pretty sure you mentioned it. I'd heard through the grapevine from someone who maybe watched your content, that, that there was a speculation that would maybe be where this was going to land. What I'm excited about is that you can't speculate as well here, or your speculation is going to go a little wild. And so at this point, I'm gonna let you speculate.
Awesome. I'm cool with that answer. I do want to talk about, though, you guys changed the prices for them, the prize ticket prices. So
Yes.
previously they were 5,000 each. and day one at the event, they're now 5,000 for both.
Yes.
Can you talk about what went into that decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of what we've talked about for season zero learnings in general, but is a thing that obviously will continue, which is listening to the fan feedback, right? Understanding where that is, right? It's always a balance of us trying to find what we think is appropriate, and then we're fully willing to listen and hear the concerns of, spending an entire galactic championship grinding side events, and the only two things you walk out with are Luke Vader, right? And so it was really important to us as we heard feedback from the community and from content creators.
Not us, but other ones.
Yeah, exactly. That it was a thing that people had concerns about. So we went and we have these meetings where we evaluate those moments and say, look, we have tried, particularly as we move pricing from, I think back to our pricing from our very first kits for planetary qualifiers back in October of last year. And then when we got to their first prize walls, for our sectors and regionals, and we heard a lot of that, like, it feels a little bit like we don't get a lot. Like you're not walking away with an abundance of riches, as we say. And so, kind of the philosophy of the organized play team has been let's push that further. As when we think it's appropriate, when we can, let's really think about. We want to be generous. We want people to come to these events, have a bunch of fun, have some cool stuff to bring back to their communities, show off, or to trade, or bring back for their for other players who weren't able to make it. Right, because it just spreads the love of Star Wars Unlimited,
Mhm.
and so that was really another moment where we were like, "Look, this feels let's make this feel better." Yeah, so
Yeah, that's cool. Twin Suns.
Twin Suns.
I love Twin Suns.
Yeah?
It was a great idea from the beginning. I play every Thursday over lunch with coworkers.
Yeah.
Do you play Twin Suns? Are you able to?
When I play, honestly, I probably play more Twin Suns than I play almost anything else.
Yes,
My
yeah.
time to build and play competitive decks has certainly diminished, but, you always
Yeah.
have time for Twin Suns.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not really it doesn't feel like a format that you need to, like, innovate on or expand. I mean, there's no suspension list for Twin Suns, but how does the team feel about Twin Suns and the reception and how it's being played by the community?
I think that we want to put some more visibility on Twin Suns. I think that's one of the big like notes that we have in our feedback of trying to make it, make it bigger than what it is. Um, but to your point, it is one of those things that like we're watching it evolve over time, right? And we had the Game Genic content come out last year. Nope, that's this year. Oh,
Yeah.
sometimes my brain works and too far into the future.
Yep.
The Game Genic content came out
Yeah, the
literally.
pods,
Yeah, those
talk
are-
about
I
yeah,
love that- I love
Twin
that
Suns
deck
deck
box.
pods, yeah.
Yep. And the playmat, y'all,
Yep,
that,
yep,
that
yeah.
Massive.
Yeah, it's my blanket, actually. It's, so I sleep with it.
amazing. I think that would be comfy, actually. I like it a little cool, so like I feel like
There you
that
go.
feels perfect.
That would be great.
I think Adrian's got something there where it's like this could be a perfect blanket if
Yeah,
you
come on.
enjoy the
Yeah, next year Galactics,
Yeah.
come on.
I love that.
Prize wall.
I'm gonna bring it up to him. I will bring it up to him. But no, it's something where we're evaluating. We have some fun stuff in the works for Twin Suns. We're not prepared to talk about quite yet, but it's something that the team is definitely thinking about, and something that, as so we talked about every year, we want to think about the audiences we're targeting. In year one, it was about foundational building. In year two, it was about expanding the collectors and thinking about the new player experience in a different way. And we haven't even really talked about.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
But that's another part of what year two was in terms of its expansion. And so always thinking that like if we're not supporting something as much now, but we see a potential for it to happen, thinking about each year and their product mix and what that could look like. We certainly have our eyes on opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. I love it.
Exciting tease.
I love it. I'm here for it.
What are the things that you're the most proud of over the last year?
Whoa. I mean, oh gosh, that's hard to sum. That's so hard.
I'm sure
to,
there's a
like-
lot of things.
There is.
Things have changed a lot in the last year too. So
I mean, to get a little bit on the internal side, right? The adaptability of our teams to pivot with all of the energy it takes to build Unlimited, right? Like it's it is a massive undertaking, as you can imagine. And you even pointed out the size of the team supporting Unlimited bigger than anything we've ever had at Fantasy Flight. And in some ways bigger, the teams that are having to support, you know, we talked about design development and we talked about graphic design, we talked about art, but the amount of resources we've had to put into our marketing team, because every single person on the marketing team was pulling double duty exclusively around Unlimited, because it just, needed so much communication. We want those weekly live streams. We want to be able to send out communication regularly. And we've we've literally restructured the entire marketing team in the same way that when I took over as head of studio, we restructured the entire studio to support this idea that Unlimited needs its own space and can't draw from the energy of others. So I'm really proud of the fact that the teams have gone through a lot in the last year and a half, 2 years, and how they've adapted to the challenges of what that means for the studio. And I think also that to then go kind of on the external, outward facing side, is I'm really proud of how how we've kind of, to circle back, those fans who may have been on the outside as doubting what we could accomplish or concerned that we were the old, version of ourselves, and watching some of those convert over and take up the mantle to be our defenders in the space has been really rewarding.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, you proved it every step when you said, like, this is something we're gonna consistently do. Like, sometimes the best thing you can do in the industry is just be boring and consistent. And it's like, oh, yeah, you can't argue with the results. Yeah.
On the flip side, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing Star Wars Unlimited right now?
yeah. I mean, I think one, I think that obviously we had some missteps along OP Season 0 that we've had to work through along the way, and are incorporating those lessons into Season 1. But much like any other part of this experience, we can say it and we can do it, and it won't matter until we do it.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
I think that that's been one of our challenges. I think also we're really looking at value for our products, right? And so we don't obviously have direct control or influence in the secondary market, but recognizing that as a part of a TCG ecosystem, it is part of the experience that we have to think about. Think about it for retailers, think about it for, players, collectors. Again, who's the audience that we're trying to adapt for? And because there's so many different levers and so many different directions, it's a lot of moving parts. And you might pull one lever that fixes one thing and breaks two other things. And so always paying attention to that is a lesson that we've certainly learned and are thinking about consistently. Um, and then I think uh, uh, just there's this lesson of remembering that we are 16 months old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
hard to believe.
it is when you so I'm not a father. I do not have children, but I'm an uncle a lot.
Mm.
And my understanding is always that at some point, it's really around 3 years old when you start talking about how many years old. Before that, it's in months.
Yeah.
And so
That's
we're
accurate.
still very much in that month discussion, right? And so remembering that and trying to make sure that we're not overreacting, that we are patient sometimes, and listening to the feedback is good, but making sure that we're making the right moves long term, because we're thinking about the health of the game beyond just 6 months from now, 12 months from now, but instead 3 to 5 years from now. Because we're not stopping. I know that that's a thing I've heard. I don't know how much, well, they said they had a 5-year plan, and we're
Oh, and then like they're just gonna be done
then
after
they're
that
just gonna
5
be
years.
done. Like after 5 years, we're over. And it's like, no, 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 no. We are
That doesn't mean what
consistent.
you think it means.
Right. We're always so to clear that up, we are always working roughly 3 to 5 years ahead in our planning, because we consider this game a forever game.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that message, super
It's
important.
unlimited in time too.
That's the plan. I often say, Danny's going to wheel me around at the 30th anniversary in my wheelchair, and that's going to be the experience I want. So
That's amazing.
That's
amazing.
great. That's so fun.
That's good. Well, I think we're almost out of time.
Yeah, we're getting there. Was there anything that we didn't hit?
so Secrets of Power.
Yeah.
So-
Tell us about Secrets of Power.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. So a lot of Unlimited up to this point, when we talk about the game, like power in a game, right? When you've got Darth Vader, you've got Obi-Wan, You've got big Star Destroyers. We're talking a lot about physical power or just tactical power in that very militaristic way, right? And for us, Secrets of Power is a glimpse into a different kind of power in Star Wars, the political power, the behind the scenes assassins, spies. Right. I think our key art features Cassian, Jabba. So it's a lot of the what is the power behind all of the machinations that are happening, and so sometimes that power on the card is representative of that as opposed to just physical raw power.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
cool.
Great.
It was something that from the beginning in Unlimited's early designs, we had to think through what that meant because we wanted to be able to bring out characters like Mon Mothma about with Padme, who had influence in a way, the influencing the battles that are taking place without being directly involved physically there. And so this is a lot of what the way that Secrets of Power kind of explores that experience. We have two new mechanics. So the first is plot, which is a way for us to kind of revisit looking at the resource portion of the game and being able to play cards directly from it. Basically, the way that mechanic works is your when you deploy your leader, you then can also deploy, paying the cost, a plot card from your resources, and then that we showed off Cad Bane, who when he comes out, he is defeating a unit that has two or less. It's either power hit points. I don't have the card in front of me.
Yeah.
But it's it showcases this idea of like it's coming in with it, right?
Yeah.
And so to highlight that as one of our spotlight deck leaders, we have, of course, Chancellor Palpatine, the person who
The
is the best
master
at plotting.
plotter.
Exactly. And so you can pay a cost each as an action. You can go and get plots from your deck. Again, you'll have the graphics specifically to walk through that to see the details. And I don't want to get it wrong, but the ability to be able to then just go get what you need and keep those plots rolling.
Nice.
On the other side, we have Disclose, which is a mechanic that the team really is excited to play with. This idea that you are going to reveal cards based on aspect symbols to your opponents. So you're giving them information. You are literally disclosing information to give them for future plays. But by doing so, you are unlocking an effect. And so how
Cool.
you
Yeah.
disclose, what you disclose, maybe it's the same card over and over again because it shares the same aspect you need each time. If you built your disclose to be all on share and aggression card, and so you're just always showing the same one. So it's like I'm not going to have to give up too much information. Um, but that allows for some really interesting play of how much you want to show to get how much you want to trigger those effects. And so those are kind of the two main mechanics for the set, and that will be, of course, driven by Padme and her work, behind the scenes, and triggers all of her stuff off of when you're revealing or discarding cards, getting an effect.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
That's so cool. And what a year to release that set after
Yeah, after Andor season
like
2.
Andor season 2, like so that like everyone sort of wants to be that kind of secret of power, that drive that theme. That's so cool. Well,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
super fun. I mean, I have to ask you the question that I think I asked last time about set 3, which is who's your favorite set 6 leader?
Oh no! Oh my gosh! It might. Is it? Is it? You would think I would prepare for this question better to really think through it and have not only the answer but the reason for my answer.
Okay.
This is going to sound super lame because this is just a fan favorite of me. So I am without a doubt. I love my favorite villain in like Star Wars is Palpatine because of that ability to like just manipulate everything.
Mhm.
And so I think the Chancellor Palpatine for me, first of all, the card art, for those who've seen it, is so like sinister for a character that is still Chancellor Palpatine and not Emperor Palpatine or Darth Sidious.
Uh-huh.
And so it represents the character so well in that like just sinister pose, like that pose of like calm, collective. And then again, as we talked about when we were discussing the ability, it leans so heavily into the theme of him being able to continually plot and scheme.
Nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Nice. All right. Well,
That's amazing.
sorry guys, no secret leader that
Nope,
hasn't
nope.
been revealed yet.
Yeah, there was a lot of dancing in my head to be like, hold on.
That's good. That's good. Well, hey, as we wrap this up, we were having a conversation earlier that we just sort of had this moment where we thought, you know what, if Jim Cartwright wasn't head of studio, we don't know that we'd even be here and
Oh.
experiencing this amazing event, because we know the passion for Star Wars and Star Wars Unlimited and just a great gaming experience and listen to the community and all these things. Like, it flows from the top down. I think it's through the whole organization. I think you built a great culture. Which is why when we asked, like, what changed about FFG, like, to make it this amazing, like, everyone just says, like, Jim's leadership. So I want to acknowledge that for the fans and just say thank you from the fans to the head of studio for creating both a great TCG experience and a great Star Wars experience. Like, this is the coolest experience for both of those independently for me, and they're the exact same thing. It's TCG experience and the Star Wars experience of my life, and we're it's day one here. But so thank you for all the work you put into this game.
I appreciate that, but I also want to make sure that it's understood that like there is a lot of people who are bringing that same level of passion and commitment to the game, to the experience for for Star Wars. And so like I do not want. I appreciate the recognition, but I also want to make sure that it's understood that by far and away, Unlimited is certainly more than me. There is at this point 100+ people who bring that same level of energy and passion every day to the game. So, but thank
Amazing.
you.
As a good leader would say.
Yeah, like any good leader would.
Right. Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time to hang out with us. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.